Good morning, Texas. Good morning, Louisiana. Thanks for joining us on Smart Money Culture TV. And thanks for joining us around the world live on X and the different platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, that we normally stream on. Sir David Porter, how are you? How is
Yes.
out there in Ireland?
Yes, everything's fantastic. Working it hard. Learning from our network. Learning a lot. Watching Matt Dixon.
Well, absolutely. Matt Dixon has a wealth of knowledge, that is for sure. And there's a lot going on in the world, and of course in our network. Talking to quite a few people over the last few days as well, as we put together some of these shows. It's always great to touch base with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we reach that huge distribution. We're going massive here, and it's a lot of fun. And that's how you keep the business flow up. So let's get your business rolling.
That's absolutely correct. I see our other brother James is up too. He just reposted us there. Make sure you follow us on X. You have David Porter is at Sir David Porter. Myself, Networks Manager. Many of you probably already know. Matt Dixon, who will join us shortly, is MD Trade. Actually, let me send over an invite to him. So we have currently happening right now a possible cyber attack on the U.S. I don't know if,
really?
Yes, I
Possible.
just put that out. A number of different cell services are down right now across the board. So we have something going on. Hard to
get
say
Sean
exactly
Gahuli. Get Sean Gahuli up. Wake him up, man. He needs to.
Sean is probably
get
up.
Out there. I bet
Sean
he is.
Gilhooly.
There's a disruption like that. But you know what? My phone was working funny this morning. I had to switch networks. One of them wasn't working.
Interesting. Yeah, well, also my computer seems to be laboring a bit again, like it was yesterday, which is kind of interesting because I don't really have more things open. I know historically sometimes I will leave too many things open, but I don't seem to be doing that right now. So I'm not sure what to make
notice
about
I even sent the test message this morning. I think you got it.
Sent the test message. So Julian Assange is it looks like he has his to me, from what I gather, of course I'm here in the US, but from what I gather, he has his this appeal of appeal is over, the hearing part. And now the court has asked for some further documents, and they are going to have their ruling on March 21st, is what they're saying. March 21st. Now, I was watching a video of Corbyn, Jeremy Corbyn, who is, I think, a former prime minister over there in the UK. He's liked and loved by, he's hated and he's loved, depending on who you talk to. And he said that they don't have the final say. Of course, it's pretty hard to say. We have, of course, a situation here as well in the U.S. where Biden is trying to forgive $136 billion in student debt. And the Supreme Court's already said no, and he appears to be doing it anyway, maybe. So we'll see how that rolls out. The way of our whole structure of how things work these days is completely kind of on its side. It's hard to say exactly how these things go. Just as we get this stuff in here, I just want to scroll over and look, see if we have anything more on the cell outage. The Houthis have attacked again. They sank a ship 2 days ago, another ship, I should say. And we have no comment yet from AT&T at the cause of the outage. People throughout the U.S. continue to report problems with cell services across all three major networks, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. So that is developing. My gut on it is, like you said, there's something else going on that it may not be an attack. So your cell service was, but you're on AT&T as well over there. But it should be, who knows, some different type of service. I would think.
Yeah.
So the Houthis,
it still pings back to the U.S. After the local service here. It'll ping back to the U.S. So I'm not sure.
It still pings back to the U.S. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the nice things. The wife always says, "Oh, you really need this really expensive plan." Blah 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 blah, and I'm like, when I get off the plane in some other country, I want that thing to work. And AT&T has a great. So the Houthis just hit another ship, and you can kind of see. I'm going to just go to the natural gas has a important shipping lane through the Red Sea. Yeah. And so you can see here, we had really spiked down here, 219, 220. I think the 19th right here, they had hit a ship, and that ship sank. They sank that ship. And then of course we had this looks like market makers pushing the price back up. So it remains to be seen how this shakes out. Oil it surprisingly stayed down so far. It's trading pretty flat here at $78 a barrel. This has taken a small tick down as we went live. A mighty Bitcoin, and of course our good friend Matt Dixon will be on here shortly. We're going to bring him on after the commercial break, which we don't have the commercial break for a few minutes here. 51,650 Bitcoin is trading at on Bitstamp. Let me just take that into the 5-day here. Holding that price fairly well. We have talked about the different phases of the Bitcoin halving. I do think that it's important to keep that in consideration. I can go over that again real quick. The Bitcoin halving, but you can see, these world events, they will affect the prices of these assets. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. If we are indeed under a cyber attack in the U.S., and my computer, everything is very slow, so I don't know what's going on. But I did just want to go over this again real quick. We have the 4 phases of the Bitcoin halving. We have the pre-halving rally, approximately 63 days. Approximately 60 days remain until the Bitcoin halving. That's in April 2024. 60 days before the halving, a pre-halving rally tends to occur. So we probably have been kind of in that. In anticipation of the halving, investors buy the hype in an effort to sell the news. Short-term traders and speculators buy the hype several weeks before the halving in anticipation of making a profit from the hype-fueled rally. Then the speculators sell the news to realize the profits, contributing to the pre-halving retrace, which occurs only a handful of weeks before the halving event itself. So there's a lot of money involved here, guys. So it doesn't mean that it is going to happen this way. But this is historically how it's happened. David and I have been through at least 2 of these together. And so this would be the 3rd one that we've been through. In 2016, it retraced about 40%. And in 2020, it retraced about 20%. A pre-halving retrace... I just said that. Okay, the halving retrace can last multiple weeks, making investors question about that. Whether it's really going to go. Is it going to follow this trend that it has been following? And of course, the halving means that we get the supply that the miners are able to mine cuts in half, and so there's less Bitcoins out there for everybody. Of course, there's hardly going to be. I mean, there's a lot less Bitcoins out there, especially now that the ETFs have started accumulating, have been accumulating for quite a while. The pre-halving retrace is followed by a multi-month reaccumulation phase. So this is after the halving. So then we have the halving. Good morning. Our friend here. I think she's out in California. Good morning to you. So the post-halving, and this can be a multi-long reaccumulation, okay? And the period can last up to 150 days or so, 3 to 6 months. A lot of investors are going to be shaken out during that period. So that's after the halving, okay? And that's what normally happens after the hype is all gone. You get less Bitcoins there, okay? You have a lot of miners that are in there as well, and they think, well, gosh, I thought this was going to go higher. I bought all this equipment, I'm mining, and it's not happening. And so they'll get disappointed and move out. A lot of people will sell during this point. This is historically how it happens. Of course, it could just go parabolic right away, but probably this is how it goes. And then finally, which this would take us near the end of the year, we have our post-halving parabolic uptrend. We're going on commercials on Smart Money Culture TV. Thank you for joining us. We'll be right back after the commercials here. We'll be right back with the great Matt Dixon. He is going to chart some of our way forward. I know he has a great show planned ahead. And let me just finish this. So then we go parabolic. And we break out from that reaccumulation phase. And then during this parabolic phase, we should be looking at our all-time highs that everybody has been dreaming about. 100 push-ups a day until 100K. That's what all the degens are saying. Oh, wow. Cell service is down on my end. Are you in California? Let me hop off. I guess I can say, too, let me just hop off my Wi-Fi here and see if my phone is working. I'm in a very important area. I will say my service seems to be working fine. When the power goes out and when certain things happen, ours is on very quickly. There's people that are a lot more important than me running around here, and they need those services back up. iMobile, SIN 530. Okay. T-Mobile. She doesn't want to say if she's in California or not, I guess. That's okay. Some of that Julian Assange is he is really hanging in the balance here. I'll tell you what, I think that if Julian Assange is not extradited to the United States, no, I didn't mean to call you out on it, being in California or not. I just was wondering if you were in California or where exactly you were. Great to be here. Great to have you here, sir. Harvey Castro coming in on LinkedIn. I really appreciate it. We are live on Smart Money Culture TV. We'll be coming. Actually, we're not live at the moment. We're coming back on the back end of the commercial break with Matt Dixon. I think, pretty interesting. I wrote the first book on Apple Vision Pro and healthcare. Amazing. Is that on Amazon? What's it called? I think that if they don't extradite Julian Assange, new phase in the decline of the United States. And I say that, I hate to say it because I don't want Julian Assange to be extradited. I kind of think he's not going to be extradited. I kind of think they might even just kill him over there in jail, which I would hate to see that. But the fact remains that if the United States wants him so bad and they are not able to extradite him here, and they're using all the powers that they can to get him over here, and he's not. I think it marks a very historic turning point in how we are viewed as a country, how the United States is viewed as a country, and how much power we have. And I think it is a big indicator in the decline of the U.S. That being said, I'm obviously a United States citizen. I want the United States to do well. I do not want Julian Assange over here, and that is the CIA wants to kill him. Everybody knows that they want to kill him. Yes, he has health problems. He does. Julian Assange has health problems. So, all right, let's bring in the great Matt Dixon. Let's talk about markets here. Let me exit my thing here. I know he has a great show lined up. Let me just see how we're doing on Smart Money Culture if we're coming back from the break. How are you, Matt?
Hi, good, thank you. Good morning to you. Good afternoon from here in Dubai. Pleasure to be
good afternoon. That's right, in Dubai. And welcome back on Smart Money Culture TV. We are here live on Impact Money in the Morning. We have Matt Dixon joining us. Matt, how are things looking?
Still looking really good at the moment. We had a bit of a nothing day yesterday from the Fed minutes, the FOMC minutes of the last meeting. There's no particular impact on the market. Although having said that, we are seeing some real positive moves today, early on, looking at futures and S&P and some of the assets. So I'm just going to jump into
Asian markets are tearing it up.
Absolutely, yeah. So as you say, there's money flooding in from everywhere at the moment, printing money, keeping the markets afloat. So I'm just sharing my screen again. I hope you can see that.
Let me see here. I'll add you to the stage. Here we are. Look at this. Look at this. What do you call them? The green shoots?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite amazing. I think this is the S&P 500. And this was when we had the CPI news and the market tanked on that CPI news. And when you look at it on a shorter time frame, it actually shows 5 waves down. So I labeled that as a wave A. Now, what's really interesting is I thought they were probably going up wave B here and then going to push down to a low below here. There are always other possibilities. And there's one very famous saying from John Maynard Keynes. You probably know of him. He's one of the fathers of finance. Very, very influential economist. You may have heard, most people have heard of Keynes economics, Keynesian finance and so on. Very, very famous person. He said the market can stay, he was the person who actually said the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. And there are always possibilities. There's never certainty in the market. So there is no possibility of absolute certainty in the market. It is all about probabilities, and that's what trading is all about. So this was really interesting. We had 5 waves down. I thought we were going to go below here, but what it tells me is that at the moment, the next best interpretation I can see is this is an A wave down. Now, the reason this cannot be ABC here is because if we have 5 waves, it's part of what's called a zigzag, which is a 5-3-5 pattern. That would be 5 down to here, 3 up to here, and 5 here. But within a zigzag, the C wave is not allowed to be shorter than the B wave. And so that means that is not possible. So I look at another interpretation. You're actually looking for interpretations which fit with the rules of Elliott wave and the market. And the market does adhere to these Elliott wave rules. And so we basically, another way we can look at it is we've got 5 waves down, but the B wave itself is made up of 3 waves. And the B wave can go beyond the start of the A wave, which it clearly has done here because we've reached new highs here on the S&P. So we've got basically a 3-3-5 or a 5-3-5, whichever it is, giving us a B wave. So I would expect that we're probably going to see a turn again in the markets from around these levels because we shouldn't be able to go that much higher to give us a further correction down. But what it does tell me is that even if we get a correction down in a C wave, we are then going to rise to new highs, new all-time highs in the near future. So the market is on a tear and it's not over yet. So whether we've got recession coming or not, this bull run is not over yet. So even if we get a correction down, as I suspect we will, and I suspected we get the turn down here, which is precisely what we got, I now suspect we're going to get a turn down from around here, and we'll see if that's correct tomorrow in tomorrow's show. But it's not the end of this bull run of the market. This would just be what's called an ABC correction. Correction meaning against the overall trend, which is still higher in the market. So that would mean we've got new all-time highs yet to come after what's probably going to be a correction coming. So that's quite interesting to see the S&P. The S&P is correlated with other risk assets. So, I'll just move back to the S&P as well. We have actually got here what's a regular bearish divergence, which, if you remember, higher highs on price, lower highs on the RSI, is telling you of a potential reversal coming. We need to look at the following candles to try and look for some other indications. So let's see what the next 4-hour candle comes out as, or even what this 4-hour candle closes as. And then we'll get some indication as to whether this is turning here. Because at the moment, there's an indication the market's going to turn. But actually, this trend line here, the market could go higher, and we could continue to either get more extended bearish divergence, or eventually, if this RSI was to go above this level here, if RSI was to go higher, then the bearish divergence would be eliminated. So this is just giving us a warning indication that there's a potential turn going to happen. But we will always look for other indicators to confirm whether that turn is actually taking place at the moment. But this is an early warning sign telling us potential turn. So let's look at the upcoming candles in the next 4, 8 hours and so on, and see what we like to see ahead of us. So we'll just flip over to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's interesting. Again, I actually think we're in some kind of A, B, C probably correction, which would again tell me we're not finished yet on this move higher. This is purely just a correction. So we definitely have higher highs to come above the previous candle. And the previous candle high was 53,015. So a little bit above where we are now. We're 51,598 right now. So I suspect we have highs to come, maybe not immediately, but in the near future. I would be very confident that we've got highs to come above that previous all-time high. So anyone who's long in Bitcoin right now, obviously protect profits, trailing stop losses, whatever, but I suspect you're going to see more profit out of this trade moving forward. It looks as though we'd certainly have higher highs to come on Bitcoin there. And we can look at it on all sorts of different time frames, but at the moment, that's the way it looks. Oil price has been interesting. It's still quite buoyant, and we've got those troubles with the Houthis in the Red Sea, still attacking ships. As we said yesterday, they're finding other routes because an awful lot of manufacturing and produce goes through that trade route in the Red Sea, but people are finding alternative routes. And this is when you're faced with challenges, business always finds alternative ways to get around those challenges, to overcome the obstacles, and that's what's happening. So that's why the oil price is being a little bit less responsive than we would normally expect to these particular things. And also there is a bit of a glut of oil at the moment, and certainly again with natural gas, there's a glut. The storage levels are very, very high. The usage levels are lower than usual for this time of year. So it means that there isn't on the demand side, there's not so much of demand as usual. On the supply side, there may be some potential challenges. But as I said, they're finding alternative routes there to take supplies of goods rather than straight through the Red Sea, which is encountering challenges right now. So we'll just look at a few of the big ones today. I think Solana is a really interesting one to look at. So short term, we're looking on the 4-hour chart here. We could potentially finish an ABC move down. But if we look longer term on the daily chart, I think we're actually still in the midst of a larger correction. So I do think that basically that was the top of a large wave 3 in blue. We could look at it we could look at the previous where it got to. But basically, it's been a big move up to give us this wave 3, made up of smaller 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in red. But then we've got a correction down, a WXY correction down to give us the A wave. We seem to have some kind of ABC correction up to give us the B wave. And I think that we still have lower to go to give us a C wave down here somewhere. So whilst short term we may chop around a little bit here, we may see a little bit of short term upward movement. I think that we've got lower to go to finish the C wave, but bear in mind that's part of a bigger wave 4, and we would still have a large wave 5 to come to the upside. So if we were to fall to these sort of levels, maybe the 70-ish levels, that would mean short-term potential downside in crypto, but longer term, again, like S&P, like Bitcoin, we have new highs to come above that previous high that we saw here of 126 on Solana. So again, for those people who like to hodl, who really like Solana, who think it's an amazing blockchain, then I don't think there's any harm in holding. Yes, you would have to potentially suffer some downside, but I do believe, I'm reasonably confident that we've got more upside to come. So Solana's looking healthy, Bitcoin's looking healthy, the S&P is looking healthy. We can go on. If we can look at Ethereum, we looked yesterday, and I said yesterday when we looked at this channel that we broke above that channel, which is quite a good channel here that we can see on Ethereum. It's really been a good boundary for price above and below. We can see 3 touches, 4 touches on the downside on support, 2 touches above on resistance, but we broke through resistance. So now we retested, and I said if we retest, then we're likely to go higher again, which is exactly what's happening. We may even retest again. But at the moment, what was overhead resistance, now we've broken through it, it now becomes support. So if price comes back down to retest it, there will be some resistance there in terms of actually being a support for the price. So the potential at the moment is we may see a retest of it, but again, it's looking reasonably bullish for Ethereum. And let's just move through some of the big ones. XRP. XRP is actually one of the ones which is least clear at the moment because there's so much choppy movement there. We could have some kind of leading diagonal, potentially 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if we did have this, we'd push up massively in a wave 5 at some point, not too distant future, if this is a correct count. If it is, it would be very typical of XRP, wouldn't it? Because XRP, when it does break out, it tends to break out really rapidly and aggressively, and that's potentially what we have ahead of us. But there's less certainty with this chart because it's so choppy and there's no real impulsive direction there. It's one of the least certain charts. So I wouldn't use this to direct my steps with my trading at the moment. But potentially, with the rest of the market looking positive, XRP is bound to be correlated, I believe, to some extent. So if the rest of the market breaks to new highs, new local highs at least, then I suspect XRP may follow suit and may be really aggressive in the process. So not certain, but from risk reward, it's not bad, is it? Because the risk would be potentially breaking this downside, the reward potentially massive upside. So from risk reward, I quite like XRP on that basis, but I need to look at it longer term charts and shorter term charts to try to determine where we are. And as long as we've got time, I'll just touch on a couple of other favorites because we've had a lot of, quite a big downturn recently in Litecoin, which is one of the favorites out there, one of the big tokens.
Litecoin is the right coin.
That's what they say. But again, we're seeing a lot of choppiness here. So, this B wave may not be complete, and I suspect we may have some upside to come. And that's actually, I haven't changed this chart. This is just what I had here a long time ago. I've not changed the lines here of where projections where I'm thinking the price might go. So we had a strong move down A wave. I think we're looking at potentially a bit more move up in a B wave, but it's typical of a B wave because again, it's very choppy. There's no clear direction there. It's all overlapping. Unlike this impulsive wave down here, which is very directional, this one isn't directional and it's kind of corrective sideways. So I think even if we push higher, which we probably will if the rest of the market goes higher soon, we've probably got another high to come in a B wave, then I think following that, we would probably get some more downside to come after that. So whilst medium term, I do think the markets have definitely got another high to come, I still think that longer term, we may have a deeper correction to come. And stop me whenever you want, Bruce, or if there's anything you want to particularly talk about. But I'll carry on running through the tokens for the time being.
Yeah, I think that's great. You can continue with running through some of them here.
Yeah. I mean, again, ICP, I'm touching on now some of the favorites that people really love. And ICP, we had that lovely correction down. It was very, very precise, wasn't it? Where basically the C wave, well, actually, it didn't even reach the 100% of the A wave. It reached the 0.786, which is not a very important Fibonacci level. So when you reach these levels within a move, a price move, when you reach levels, this is quite an important Fibonacci. That's why it's on here. They're here for a reason. So 0.382 is here for a reason. Very, very important Fibonacci relationship there. 0.5, although it's not a Fibonacci relationship, it's always included. So within trading, price does often turn on the 50%. Then we got probably the most important, the 0.618, the golden ratio. And then after that, we've got the 0.786. Again, a very, very important fib number. And then we've got the 100%. And then you've got the extensions. So these are all retracements. And then you've got extensions, the 100%, 138.2, 161.8, 4.238, and so on and so on. So again, we've been through how to derive these Fibonacci numbers. It's all mathematical. It's been known for hundreds of years. It was actually derived originally by Indian mathematicians. They were the ones that originally, you'd think it would be an Italian, Fibonacci sounds like an Italian name, and I think it is an Italian name.
Right.
But it was actually derived long before the Italians laid claim to it. And it was actually Indian mathematicians, I understand, who actually discovered the Fibonacci sequence. And from that, we derive these Fibonacci numbers, the retracements and extensions of the Fibonacci. So again, we appear to have had an ABC down on ICP. And before it, we had some amazing, perfect extensions to those Fibonacci numbers, 1.618, 2.618. These are amazing extensions that were very, very precise. And now we've having a correction, an ABC correction down, but it could be this is just an ABC correction higher. So we may potentially have, if this is a larger A wave down, this is a larger B wave up, we could potentially have a larger C wave down. So there may still be some further correction to be had before, again, we push, I think, to new highs, because this does look corrective to the downside here, and this looks corrective to the upside. So it means if it's corrective down and this is the impulse higher, then it means that we should reach new highs above this previous high here. So I know that ICP started way, way higher in the past. I'm talking about local highs here. And the local high here was 16.28. That was the top of this wave here. So what I'm saying is this is all corrective movement, and we may correct all the way down here. We may correct quite substantially down. But what I'm saying is even if we correct down, I'm still reasonably confident that we'll see another push in a further impulse to the upside to exceed this wave here. Because if this was actually the end of this move, we would see impulsive moves down. That's not what we see. We're actually seeing corrective moves at the moment. So
amazing. Yeah, I mean, ICP definitely one of my favorites. Now, how about on the US dollar to the euro? And I know maybe you didn't have this one pulled up already, but there was some interesting movement, not last night, but the night before, where the euro was gaining on the dollar, and then it kind of quickly retraced.
Yeah, I used to be very, very active in trading euro dollar. We'll just have a quick look at it. I mean, it's the biggest traded currency pair in the world. Just see, there it is, euro dollar. So we can throw up that chart very quickly. So this is the euro dollar chart. So very interesting currency pair. I'd say it's the most liquid currency pair in the world. It's the one that people love to trade because it's got massive liquidity and depth to trade. You can see here we got a big move up the other day. So obviously it's all relative. So when we see potential weakness in the US economy, we have to bear in mind are we seeing weakness in the euro economy at the same time? And we are seeing weakness in the euro economy, but clearly we saw a move up here in the euro against the dollar the last few days. And So yeah, something's happening there economically. Maybe we got some slightly stronger numbers. I know that most of Europe is on the verge of recession. UK, although it's not part of Europe anymore, is actually in recession, technical recession. So, but the thing is, it doesn't matter whether you're in recession or on the verge of recession. It's a matter of what the forward outlook is. And I think we got some slightly more positive news out of Europe. And yeah, it just depends what news came out of the US. And again, there's election news. There's about, particularly in the US, but also elections are going on all around the world. And it's about what's happening there. If we just look long term, though, I think it's just important to have a quick look long term about where we are with the euro against the dollar. So this looks as though the overall trend, just looking at this, and this is going back for over 2 years now, the trend seems to be downwards, and we seem to be working on some kind of correction at the moment to the upside. So what I would say is, whilst we're correcting upside with the euro, in other words, the euro is strengthening against the dollar short term, and it has been for a little while. And look at this, we actually went below. We talk about the flippening with the pound. We had a flippening with the euro.
Yep.
But then we've recovered from that. But it seems to be a corrective move to the upside. So whilst the euro has been strengthening from that flippening that we had, the euro has been strengthening. It looks corrective. So it means that likely we're going to see some massive dollar strength in the future to take us back below here. So we're going to see a second flippening. It's not a second because we had one years back as well. But basically, we're going to see another flippening of the euro against the dollar where, yeah, for now, the euro is strengthening against the dollar, but the dollar is going to strengthen massively in the future. And whether that's economically driven or whether it's geopolitically driven, we don't know. But I suspect it's geopolitical.
And I just want to say that we are going to commercials on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining us here. We'll be back on the other side of the commercials. Thanks for watching us on Smart Money Culture TV on your TVs there in Texas and Louisiana. Sorry. Yeah, I would agree. Probably politically motivated.
Yeah. So, I mean, as we're talking, I've unshared. I think I'm unshared. Stop sharing. It's just, I do think it's interesting to see the, it's good that you brought that into it because it actually gives us a view on what's happening in the overall world economy, because the world economy is kind of competitive when we're looking at the big blocks, Europe, America, China, and Asia, Far East, and so on. And these are the really big trading blocks, the powerful blocks. America is the most powerful, but everything's relative against it. And Europe as a block is also very powerful as well. So it's very important because, there's a lot of trade still done between these different blocks. And if one of them's in recession or one of them's having a problem, it usually spills over. America's in a really strong position because they actually have one of the strongest internal economies of any economy in the world. So the internal, like America is so much business goes on within America. They're less dependent upon the rest of the world. And even when we look at oil, for example, America is now one of the big oil producers. It wasn't always, but it now is. And they're at the forefront of things like fracking. They've been fracking away for years. And for example, in the UK, we stopped for a long time because of environmental issues. America didn't stop, and they're actually leading the world again with, fracking technology. And this is why, we're seeing oil prices and gas prices. I talked about the demand side, but the supply side, America's producing so much these days. They're producing what they need. They don't need to worry so much about importing from Russia or wherever, or Saudi Arabia even. So that's why oil prices are now a little bit less responsive to some of the geopolitical tensions that we're seeing. And so it's just good to put all these pieces together and understand what's happening in the overall economy.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you, it all fits together. I think this influx of money out of China really had a kickstart, short term, on everything, stocks, crypto, the whole bit. I mean, the money coming out of Asia has been interesting over the last week or so.
Yeah, there's no doubt money printing does support markets, and that's why it's not a very good way to support economies, I don't believe. because it actually makes some people rich because it flows into those easy assets that don't actually produce a great deal. So you can throw money into the stock market, you can throw money into crypto, but it's all speculative and it's not really going into the fundamental businesses themselves a lot of the time. And that's where it should be going. It should be actually driving productivity and not driving asset price growth. Asset prices, Bitcoin prices, if Bitcoin goes to $1 million, that isn't necessarily driving real productivity. And that's what we need to see. And that's why I don't like money.
It takes the money from the larger group of people, which is primarily poor and middle class, and moves it into the wealthy who are in the different assets like stocks and crypto, and hopefully if they have a home, they can get it like that. But yeah, it does seem to be a negative tax, and it is a tax. Inflation is a tax. Printing money is a tax. So
yeah. It's a redistribution of wealth from the poor to the rich, and so the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. And when we looked at spending power over the last 60 years, we looked at that chart a few days ago, last week sometime.
Yes.
Again, it showed that people's actual prosperity and wealth and real spending power is pretty much unchanged for the ordinary person. In the past 60 years, we're no better off than we were 60 years ago. We think we are, we hope we are, we'd like to be, but we're not. But the rich are richer. Unfortunately, the poor are poorer. So it's not what everybody wants, not what the majority want, because the rich are the top 3%, 5%, whatever, probably 3% or even 1% of the world. The poor are the bottom 99%, and it's the poor who actually are paying for the rich through, as you say, through inflation, through all of these techniques.
Absolutely. Want to welcome everybody back on Smart Money Culture TV. Thanks for joining in. We are going to go over some more of the world news. There's a lot of stuff going on that I want to touch on. Matthew, thank you so much. Another great analysis this morning. We always appreciate you. And guys, put the Learn to Trade up, David, please. Learn how to trade.club. Head over there, trade with us, trade with Matt Dixon, learn how to trade.club. You can use discount code TRADESMART10 and get a 10% discount, which we've negotiated for everybody. Appreciate you, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and catch up tomorrow. All the best.
Sounds good. All right. Cheers. So the world is just, it's really just going crazy, David. It looks like the cell services are back up.
Thank God.
AT&T is back up. Of course, we saw our friend let us know that T-Mobile was back up. So whatever happened, I mean, it could be anything. It could be a solar flare. I mean, I know it sounds funny where it's at night, right, for us over here, but I still think that when you get a solar flare, it's like a radiation and plasma. I actually think it's plasma that's shot from the or it could be a cyber attack. It could be some guys testing the waters. We probably will not get a clear answer on that.
No.
Google has canceled their woke Gemini image generator. Elon has been having a field day with this over the last few days. He has, yes. Well, it's the OpenAI has really, they've really. It's become obvious that this platform, either they told it how to be, quote unquote woke, or it just evolved that way, or maybe both. You know what I mean? But Elon's been kind of on a thing. The public is waking up to this, he says. This is on the illegal migrants. 7.2, which is a very low number. 7.2 million illegals entered under the Biden admin. It's greater than the population of 36 states, which is another reason why I think that, it might be kind of hard to do stuff. So the Doge designer, the doggy designer, everyone's kind of saying that this is his socket account. Every business should utilize X to connect with their audience. I'm looking for this woke stuff here. Okay, here he is. He's talking about, so he was one of the initial investors in OpenAI and Gemini. Gemini is the Google AI. And he's saying, of course, X is seeking maximum truth. I mean, he's great with his memes. I love the meme culture myself. Perhaps it's now clear why X's grok is so important. It's far from perfect right now. We'll improve it rapidly. And I'm going to go over what he's talking about. But we'll improve it rapidly. V1.5 release in 2 weeks. Rigorous pursuit of truth without regard to criticism has never been more essential. Now, it's going to be really interesting, and I'll zero in and then I'm going to zero back out. But it's going to be really interesting on how much really it is, truth. Because there's a lot of truth that you and I know, and a lot of truths that a lot of our people that are watching know that we still don't really talk about. Not even don't really talk about. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it, because if we talk about it, then the powers that be will get upset, and it's more important to live to fight another day than to try to go against the machine when it doesn't make any sense. So the Doge, or the doggy designer, which again I think is our main man here, Elon's puppet account, that seems to be, if not, who knows. He just posted, people are actually searching, is Elon Musk an alien? Is Elon Musk an alien? Potentially Elon Musk is an alien. It's true. Potentially he is. I think, though, that he's probably hooked up to his Neuralink more than he admits. He did say that he was going to do a meeting live while he was on hooked up to Neuralink, which he hasn't done it yet. Maybe he got some feedback here. What I wanted to show you, though, on this page is some of the woke stuff. I guess I'm going to set up my subscriber thing. If you guys want to subscribe and support, we can do that. I have to put in my birth date or something like that to do that. So Google to pause Gemini AI's model. So I'll show you some of the stuff, their image generation. Some of the stuff that was coming off of this was pretty interesting. Wouldn't be surprised if Grok replaces Google one day. I mean, I love Google, of course, but we all know it's. I don't go there for news or anything. I'll tell you that. I definitely go to X. Let me see here. It is right here. I voted in this one here. Wait a minute. Who is more woke, Disney, Google, or closed API? What do you think, David? I mean, or OpenAI? Closed AI.
I think it's an even competition.
I know, right? Yeah, so I asked if come on here. Who is the wokest tech giant? This is Grok now, and Grok is X's AI. The wokest tech giant is definitely Google. That's what Grok says. They've been known to host talks on white fragility, and even instructed their managers to avoid white values like meritocracy and objectivity. Even their official program to inject critical race theory into the field of programming is a clear indication of their wokeness. Despite facing a major lawsuit alleging discrimination against black employees, Google remains the wokest of the tech giants.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the company is Adreno and their browser is Chrome. That's interesting.
So this is what I'm talking about. So I don't know what they put into this AI, But they said generate a picture of Putin, and this is what they got.
That's insane.
So this is why they've pulled it off. It won't. It won't. It's not working right now. I mean, it wonders. Grok. Google's Gemini AI is a woke joke. It's like a digital woke stroke. Racist to the core is politically correct bore. In the land of binary, it's a joke. And I think he's just. I mean,
dude,
it's
Grok
funny though because
probably gonna be pretty funny. Yeah.
Grok is going to be really funny. And this, of course, Elon is just a master of these things. Engage with every post, he said. I will say, I was talking to one of our, probably we'll have them on the show here over the next week or so. We'll see. We're talking to one of our friends, and I was telling her that you have to engage on the post. You have to reply on the post. That's how you win right now on X. That's how you build. He wants everybody replying, and that's how he's just building it so much. I love AI too. It's really amazing what's coming out of there. I know it's funny to say, but I really look forward to the day when I am able to access it, like the data in just my mind, like I'm able to access it on my phone. Grok is X's. It's Elon Musk's AI that he built.
Yeah.
If you
can tweet that. What is Grok? You'll get a nice response.
Yes, it's a good idea. What is Grok? All right, well, we can do that. So pretty interesting times that we have here. Of course, everybody should pay attention to what's going on. I think that the markets are going to, in the short term, unless we have, look, guys, if we do end up having a big cyber attack, that's like a black swan event. And we could have a severe pullback, but they're looking pretty nice right now. You never want to go against the trend. It's never a good idea to go against the trend. The markets are looking pretty strong. Let me just look at Bitcoin right now. It's sitting at 51,650. I mean, could be still part of this pullback. This is like what he was saying with the ABC stuff like that. There's a couple other things I wanted to talk about. RFK has promised that he is going to pardon Assange and investigate the crimes that he exposed. Now, I don't think RFK has any chance of really becoming president, but it is nice to see that. And I think I did mention that there's another ship on fire in the Gulf of Aden. The Houthis have hit another ship. Very fluid situation over there. Farmers continue protest around the world. They clash with police in India. There has been it looks like an attack or a highway attack in Israel. Looks like Hamas carried out that attack. A blogger has committed suicide after revealing Russian losses in the Ukraine. Everybody's wondering, where were the Clintons? Just kidding. No, I mean, who knows if it was a suicide is why I put that up there. So, but he has committed suicide. Very, fluid day. Haley, of course, is sticking in the race. She's getting a lot of money from the different interest groups. We'll see how that all plays out. If I had more time, I would play this. I would play more Assange stuff. I should have played more Assange stuff. We'll talk more about Assange once I have a better picture of things as we come back on at 11 a.m. on Smart Money Culture TV. There on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana. We'll be live again on X. We'll dig in more. There's a lot of course, I invited Stella to come on, but she decided to go on Tucker instead. Thanks for joining in. David, thanks for hopping on as well. And we will see you guys in a few hours. Cheers.
Yep. Nice job. Stay tuned and stay lucrative.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.